Everybody. Today's Thursday, September the 14th. We're in the second module in Photoshop. We're continuing the selection methods and some of the more advanced and intermediate methods of making selections. We have a great exercise coming up here for you. So stay tuned. We're going to continue right now with the software. I just finished greeting all my students and we went over some of the discussion lessons that we did from last week. So today we're going to continue on forward. And I'm going to share my screen now. Another thing I wanted to announce was the actual virtual class link that we have. So we have a permanent link set up going forward. I don't think we have to generate a new link every time we do a class. So under the class modules, because all the modules are here for the lessons that are associated, just click on the virtual class link and this will take us right to this classroom here. If it doesn't work for whatever reason, I'm just going to have to update it to the current link. So just make sure this is where we go from now on instead of me posting announcements every time we start the class. All right, so now we finished module 1. I went over the basically some of the exercises from last week. We did a very basic abstract tutorial just to get you familiar with the basics of Photoshop, creating documents, making selections, applying different fills, working with some basic filters and effects that we applied to make a nice abstract design. I did do a collaboration, or I should call it a discussion group or topic, and a lot of students participated. As you can see, they did a very, very nice job, fantastic job. Considering it was only the first class, we made some very nice abstract design, all from scratch on one canvas. I call it the Picasso digital art because we don't have to really do anything. We didn't have to rely on any sources, no AI, no images, nothing on the internet. We just did this directly from Photoshop just by applying some basic skills. You can do a lot of this stuff going forward in the software. Photoshop can solely rely on itself as long as you have the skills that are necessary and the tools. Sometimes people use these Wacom tablets or other stylist methods to draw their own paintings and stuff. But beyond that, if you use selections and colors and just a simple mouse technique, you can achieve a lot of these creative designs. So this is module 2, basic and intermediate selections. I do have a whole lesson for this set up for you. It's called the selections melon head. We used to do Mr. Potato Head and all these other fun things. I'm a strong believer when you learn this kind of stuff, it's good to have fun at the same time. But this lesson packs a good amount of technical skill knowledge that you're going to benefit from, not only covering like the basic selections, but some of the more intermediate selections as well. So if you haven't downloaded this yet, please go ahead and do so. It's called Selections Melonhead. I think it went, let's see where it went, this one here. On the desktop. If I haven't downloaded already, I'll do it one more time. This is the finished design or the finished product. So maybe this is just for reference purposes. You don't have to really do anything with this particular file here. As a matter of fact, maybe I'm going to upload a new one that we're going to do today for today's lessons. I'm probably going to replace this one with the current one. What I need you to do instead is to populate this area is click on the class exercises and assignments. All right. Sorry, resources actually. Click on the resources tab and download this link here called layers and selections. So do that right now with me. And if you want to prefer just watch the video and just participate in the lesson and just execute this later, that's fine. But if you click on this layer and selection file, that's where we're going to grab the sources from. So these two sources will cover us for the duration of I would say maybe even halfway through the semester. These have a lot of different exercises in there. The first one I want you to download is the selections1.zip. So if you click on the right tab over here and you click on download original file, this is how we're going to do the actual exercise that I demonstrated earlier. Just save it to your desktop or whatever preferred destination you might have. And once it's downloaded, you just give it some time to complete. You can extract it to whatever destination it's sitting on. In this case, it's on my desktop. I'm just going to double click and it's going to extract it in a folder. And this folder will have several other folders that we're going to utilize for the lessons and exercises. Starting with this one first, it's called Lesson 1, Selecting Start. So as I mentioned earlier, this was the finished product of what we're going to come up with. There's no better way to learn Photoshop than to learn how to use its power of selections. So last week we did a little bit of that on the introductory level. We also included some fills and some colors and different ways of applying colors and selections in combination. And then we utilize some of the more creative filter techniques to distort the image to kind of combine it all with different hue and saturation methods. I believe we use the twirl filter under distort. So today is more like a technical exercise where we put together a collage which will pave the way for your project coming up and your assignments that you have to do. So this is how that was delivered. So you can see the file here. This is how we're going to start. Notice the name of the file. It's called Selecting Start PSD. It is a Photoshop file, and your job is to basically assemble this watermelon head using all these different fruits and vegetables and items, because we have like the little pasta piece here. We have the orange peel. We have the grapefruit. We have the tomato. I have a lot of those in my garden this year, actually. My freezer is full with tomatoes for the winter. So we got a good season there. These are the actual blueberries. Then we have the mushroom. We have the pepper here. And lastly, we have the radish. Okay, so these will be the items that we're going to select and extract and create this watermelon head. Okay, similar to a Mr. Potato Head. We used to use a Mr. Potato Head exercise to do the same thing. The reason why I like this one again is because it has the steps all here for you. Okay, so this is it's not the newest tutorial, but it still packs a lot of punch and technical skill for you to learn from. And I like how it's pretty much orchestrated and set up for you to follow. So you have the objectives here. So these are the objectives for today. We're going to select parts of an image using a variety of tools. We're going to reposition a selection of various marquees, not just one. We're going to learn how to deselect a selection, move and duplicate a selection, constrain the movement of a selection, choose areas of an image based on proximity of color or pixels, adjust the selection with the arrow keys, add to and subtract from selections, rotate, scale, and transform selections, combine various selection tools, and lastly, we're going to crop the image. So all these techniques in a nutshell will make you that much more capable to produce any type of quick little montage or a creative piece all on your own. Okay, this is how the breakdown is. So you have like a start, shows you exactly what to do. So let's say I wasn't even here and you're doing this as a homework assignment. You can even follow these steps with the exercise given, and you can just execute this whole thing all on your own. Well, the good thing is I'm here with you, so I'm going to do this, not only demonstrate on a video step by step how to get this done, but you also have like the written handout on how to do it all on your own, all over again. You might want to do this a year from now, or maybe next week, or maybe tomorrow, just as a refresher for the lesson. So it's good to have both. You have the video recording and you have the actual step-by-step exercise in a PDF format. All right, so first we're going to start the actual file by opening it. We're going to take care of the head portion of the watermelon, I guess. Then we're going to focus on the mouth, and for that we're going to use the tomato. We're going to use the elliptical marquee tool and draw like an oval selection. We're going to use shortcuts like Command J, a very, very prominent shortcut in Photoshop, as opposed to copy and paste. This was a big, I guess, a shortcut move breaker, because it's just like all in one shortcut. Instead of doing copy and paste, you just hit Command or Control J on on a PC. If you have PCs, for some of you, it'll do the same thing. Okay, I'll just take the selection onto a new layer. Of course, we're going to rename the layers. We're going to render or reorder the mouth layer above the head layer. So we're going to do some positioning right here. Then we're going to get into the eyes portion. So we're going to, I guess, use the blueberries for the eyes. We're going to use the elliptical marquee tool again. We're going to press various shortcuts to do different constraint selections and stuff. We're going to use the Command J shortcut again. We're going to do the whole thing. I'm not going to read this whole thing as I'm doing it now, just explaining to you how the steps work. So then we're going to do the nose. Okay, so we're going to use the pepper for the nose. For the bow tie, we're going to use the pasta. All right, so we're going to use these techniques here. I'm not going to follow this exactly to the T. I have my own creative way of executing this, but it'll be relatively close, if not like 90%. I might not use the exact settings. Like if this is like 50% opacity or something, I'm probably going to use 100, and it'll make the same result regardless. Okay, so then we're going to go to the ears. Okay, so we're going to use the grapefruit slices for that one. More magnetic lasso selections and other methods that we're going to incorporate. Some edit free transform tools and rotations. I know some of you asked me last week, how can we move a selection or how to move part of the artwork? And I believe I told you to just wait for the next class. So today's the lesson where I'm going to take this a step further and do a lot more transformation techniques with images and selections utilizing this exercise here. Then we have the actual hats. So we're going to use the mushroom for the hats. That's a good way to incorporate it. And lastly, we're going to crop the whole thing. See, cropping is also a very strategic aspect in Photoshop, as a lot of, let's say, trained photographers will do their photo shoots and stuff. And sometimes all they do in Photoshop is crop the images. As you know now, even cell phones can do that kind of stuff. Cropping is an art form by itself, and it's executed in various programs, not just for mobile, desktops. Photoshop, of course, has the cropping feature as well. This way you eliminate the parts of the image or the artwork that you don't want people to see. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward. This was a good way to introduce the actual exercise so you know exactly where we're going. I'm going to put this away. And long and behold, double click on this PSD file and it's going to open directly into Photoshop. Go ahead and do that, please. I'll give you a moment to get started. So this was again under here in case you didn't get it. So it's the layers and selections file. And I'm going to go over some of these other links that I have here. I know I quickly went over them last week. Just another quick refresher. The Photoshop tutorials are back in the first module I posted last week in case you want to get some extra acquaintance with the software. You can follow these very basic tutorials that are part of the program. This was done by the Adobe team, so they do a good job into making these videos. They're professionally done. They're very clear, very concise, and easy to follow. So I strongly recommend you watch some of these videos if you really kind of feel like you're falling behind or you're not really getting some of the stuff. These are very good ways to keep yourself up to date. Okay, so I gave you some links there for the actual developers and to access their tutorials. Of course, we're going to do everything here, and we're going to work with a lot of different sources as well. All right, so let me just get a quick hands up on the participation level, and if you guys are ready to get started. Well, I'm using, check this out. I'm using the Photoshop beta version. I don't know if some of you know right now with AI and everything, how things are going, but I was very curious to see how this new generative fill works in Photoshop. It was quite remarkable. Maybe I'll explain a little bit later how this works. It's still a beta version, so you might not have it. And don't worry about it, honestly. Let the full version come out. It still has some bugs and stuff to work out, so not to worry right now, but I did notice that it was open by default. I don't know why. I usually open up the Photoshop 2023. I'm going to stick with it anyways, regardless. The interface is pretty much the same. It just has some additional options and tools that are added, mostly AI stuff, right? A lot of the Adobe software now is integrating AI. They want to, play along with everybody else. because it's the AI race, all the software and all the programs and everyone else is trying to keep up with it. Um, I think it's going to be a good thing for the going forward for the technological industry. It's just like when calculators or computers came out. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. It's just going to create more possibilities to do things. Um, I think we're putting too much hype to it. Well, we'll see. It's all a matter of what we do with it, right? Let me just see who's here and if you guys are ready to rock and roll. See who's open up the. Okay, so let me just see a show of hands. Who's ready and who has the file open, and if everyone's okay. And if I don't see your hand go up, I'm assuming you're just watching the exercise. Maybe some of you have a better comfort level to watch the actual um, the actual exercise demonstration first, and then watch the video after. That's fine too. These are the benefits and the luxury of doing this from our homes, right? You can, I decided to record these videos so you can watch them later and go through all the steps. Whereas the real classroom, I don't record my videos because you're there, and this is how we usually normally do things. But since we have the option to record, why not? So this is why we're recording every lesson going forward. Okay. All right. Just in case I miss one here and there, I'll try to make up for it. But it'll work out well. All right. So thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. You can lower your hands now. We're gonna get started. We're gonna go back to Photoshop here. All right. I will try to follow the steps according to the PDF here, just so I stay in line with the instructions. I sometimes veer off in my own direction and get a little too ambitious. Students ask me questions, and I like to, exemplify everything differently, and it ends up being a little different than what the outcome is. So we're going to try to stay on point. So we're going to just open this up here as we did. We're going to duplicate the background layer. That's the first thing it's telling us to do. So how do we duplicate the background layer? And make sure your layers are visible here like I have them. Also, make sure under Window Workspace, we set up the Essentials default workspace. Okay, so this is the one we want to have. I believe last week we went over saving the workspace. If you forgot how to do that, you can just go back to Workspace and change it to Essentials or reset the Essentials. There's other workspaces like 3D. There's motion, and there's painting. We're gonna do some motion stuff near the end of the semester with some motion graphics and some GIF animated designs for web. So that's something we're gonna look at later. Honestly, just by keeping it on the Essentials default, you're gonna get everything that you need, so you don't have to really cycle through the other workspaces unless necessary. So stick with Essentials default. Another thing I want to point out is this tool palette on the left here. Make sure it's set to 2 columns. If it's 1 column, it's very hard to communicate with this area here, especially when I'm using Illustrator. I was showing my other students yesterday how to use the stroke and the fill and different object methods that we were practicing, even the pen tool, and it was hard to visualize this. So I made a point to always keep this 2 columns so you can see this area nice and clear. I mean, we already have our space maximized. You're only saving like 20 pixels if you want to do the math. So just keep it like this, keep the layers visible. All right, I'm gonna right click and duplicate the layer, just like the tutorial is telling me to do. So I have a copy of it. I'll name it background copy, that's fine. If you notice now, I have a copy of the same layer into 2, so we have 2 separate layers. Rather than me doing my spacebar trick, I'm just going to double click on this file here just to have it more opened permanently. And I'm gonna just make the window smaller. Minimize this window and move it all here. Alrighty. Okay, so the next step we're going to do here, we're going to select the rectangular marquee tool, draw a rectangle around the melon, and we're going to hit Command J to extract it. All right, so how do we do that? Well, we know what the marquee tool does. We used it last week. Here's the rectangular marquee tool. We're going to grab this selection tool like that. So we're targeting the melon head. All right, and then we're going to just hit Command J. Okay, so Command J is on a PC, it's Control J. On the Mac, it's Command J. So once I click on that, it extracts it to a new layer. Okay, so this is exactly what it's going to do. And if you hide the bottom two layers, all you will see is the layer that was extracted. Okay, now copy and paste works the same way, but as you saw, Command J actually did the performance in one shortcut. Okay, all right, so that's how we were able to do that.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go
Milo.
ahead. Yeah.
Um, I missed how to copy the whole page into another layer.
Oh, absolutely. So basically, you have the layer palette visible.
Yes,
And sorry, who am I speaking to? Let me just get them.
Christine.
Here we go, Christy. Hi, Christy. So what you want to do is basically right-click on the layer itself and go to Duplicate Layer. And that's how you copy the layer. You know what else you can do, Christy, is use the same shortcut I just demonstrated, Command J. Look what that does. Command J duplicates the layer, or Control J. You have a Mac or PC?
Mac.
Yeah, just use Command J and that'll copy or duplicate the layer for you. Okay.
Command J. Doesn't seem to work. So I got a new mouse and it's just
Oh,
one click opposed to right and left click. It's not
oh,
set to do
see.
both. So that's why I'm having trouble.
Oh, hey, these guys are going back to in the DeLorean 30 years ago. Did you know so that's why the Apple logo has one byte? Do you know how long
Mm-hmm.
it took Apple to incorporate the right click? It was like a protest on the graphic design world to get Apple to have a right click on their buttons. And they're still stubborn about it. You see, like point, okay? Christine's mouse doesn't work. Okay, the right click. Now, how do we help Christine? Well, I'm going to show her to go here in the Apple menu, and Christine will go to System Settings. Actually, why don't you all do this right now? This is a good that it's happening now and not later, so you can have a functional tool like the mouse is. The mouse is like your pen, so it's going to be used in many scenarios. And if a lot of you don't have a mouse, please invest in one. It's very important, especially when you do more technical stuff like Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. And you can only use the trackpad for so many things. It'll work. Like I use my trackpad for surfing the internet and whatnot. But if I do like Photoshop and Illustrator stuff, I need a mouse. I need to hold my left hand on the shortcut keyboards, whether I hold Option, Control, Shift. At the same time, I have my mouse hand moving things at the same time. It makes you more productive and it's just easier on everything. Just take my word for that, okay? And if you still want to use the trackpad, you can. I just think it's a little more difficult doing that, especially when you start tracing and drawing stuff in Illustrator. Okay, so let's go to System Settings. Okay, and go to the area where it says, I haven't done this in a while, mouse. On the very bottom here, they changed if you have an older OS, you might have to look for the mouse control panel settings. If you have a PC, same thing goes under control panel, go to mouse. The mouse option is over here. All right. And then let's see here. Mouse. Mighty Mouse settings. All right. So make sure, Christine, do you see the same menu that I do?
No, not exactly the same.
Okay, but can you open this mouse area here like this? Go to the mouse settings.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
got,
in the mouse settings, but
yeah,
it just
so,
looks different.
okay. But you do have a primary button and a secondary button, correct?
It is asking, it has natural scrolling, secondary click, so it gives me the option of right or left,
So
and
this one, yeah,
smart
so
change.
assign this to be your secondary button. Are you left-handed or right-handed? Because that's another,
Right-handed.
perfect. So you're like me. So that means this will be your primary button, or this will be your secondary button. And that'll enable right click to work for you and all of you that bought a new mouse, and Apple will not configure it by default. You have to manually set this up. This is why I miss having those intro to Mac classes on the first day, because I go through all this stuff with the students. Even in the classroom where you guys are at in room 132. I don't know if your right click works, but you're going to have to literally go there and set this up. This natural scrolling stuff, you can leave that on or off. That's more like a preference. I prefer to have this thing disabled. Just turn it off. Primary button, secondary button.
I don't get that image at all, so I'm not sure.
So do you have the mouse though? You can change primary and secondary button at least?
No, it just it gives secondary click right side or click left side.
Why don't you show me your screen? Do you know how to share your screen? Hit the share screen button. I'm really curious now to see what your screen looks like.
Oh, hang on. It's
Do you know what operating system are you using? Is it an older operating system or a newer one?
operating system is more info. It's Ventura 13.5.2.
Yeah, so it's pretty up to date. So do you mind sharing your screen again? Do you know how to share screen? You go up here and just hit, I think, share screen on the top corner here.
I have to. So I've come in like in two, like, so I have it on my laptop on mute mode, and I have you on my iPad to listen in so that I don't have to do all
Okay,
on
then
one
tell you
screen.
what, let's
So,
figure this out later. I don't want to waste too much time on this matter, but here's what you can do alternatively. You can hold control on your keyboard. If you control click, it'll act like a right click as well. In case your right click, let's say your mouse is broken, that's your last alternative. Control click or right click, duplicate layer, okay? So that's how you do that part.
control click. It says background or isolate layers.
So control, if you control click on the background layer, right, like this,
Yeah.
you have a duplicate layer option.
Nope.
Are you clicking exactly in this area or are you clicking maybe in this area? Sometimes it depends where you click. I think it's over here.
All right. Where am I? I'm not clicking on the image.
No, you're clicking on the actual layer palette itself.
Oh, I see. I see. I see.
Yeah. So click on right where see my mouse cursor here. So click right here, hold control, or just click on the layer. And if you press Command J, it has to work. It has to do, look, Command J, it has to do this. I'm doing it like this now.
Background copy. Okay, got it.
Okay. So now with the copy layer, what you want to do is use that, remember, rectangular marquee tool, draw one on the watermelon,
Okay.
and do the same thing, Command J. It's good to learn the shortcut now because that's like your copy. So if I do copy, Command C, Command V, it does the same thing. But Command J does it in one stroke. So if you do selection like this, Command J, it just pastes it to a new layer, right? So this is good that we're thoroughly going through this, and maybe some of you um, also might have the same type of obstacle along the way. So make sure you know how to solve it by just doing the shortcuts and some basic selection methods. All right. If you hide the bottom two layers, you will see how this is transparent all by itself. Now, the next step here it's telling us to do is to actually um, use the quick selection tool, select the magic eraser. So I like to expose you to as many tools as possible just to get you more familiar with the software. I don't use the magic eraser tool a lot, to be honest with you, but it is there. It is useful. So let me show you how it works. So the magic eraser tool, if I remember correctly, it should still be located right over here. The magic eraser tool, it's like buried in the third one down. So if you click on the eraser tool itself, if you press E on the keyboard, it'll take you to the eraser tool. A lot of these shortcuts have tools. You see like V is your main one for move, M is for marquee, L is for lasso, W is for the selection tool. It used to be the magic wand. That's why it's the W. C is for crop. Okay, K is for like the frame tool, which is very, very new. It just came out, I believe, like in the last version or so. So I'm not gonna go through all of these, but I'll give you like a cheat sheet or like a handout on all these shortcuts. You can get one online too if you want. I'll find a recent one to share with you. So all these tools have shortcuts. If you press E, it'll take you to the eraser tool, but a lot of tools have sub-tools. So the subcategory tools can be only accessed if you click, hold the mouse, and click on the magic eraser tool. The way this tool works, and make sure caps lock is disabled. If caps lock is on, you won't see this floating little thumbnail of the eraser with these little speckles on the side of it. So if you turn off your caps lock, you'll see the icon. Just leave it on for now. So try to always keep your caps lock disabled, okay? Because sometimes you might have it on for whatever reason. You might have yelled at someone this morning on an email. I don't know. So just keep it off. Click on the back. Look, I'm on the layer 1. We're going to call this melon head, okay? And I'm going to click on this white background and just get rid of it, just like that. Okay? So this is very important that you familiarize yourself with these methods, because now you're controlling what layer you're selecting, what tool you're using, and what action you're performing. So we're going to click on the background layer again, make it visible, and going forward, just have these two layers clearly accessible. So if I make this longer or shorter, I strongly suggest all of you make this as big as possible, because we're going to need the layer. And we're going to have a lesson on layers next week or the week after. So just to get you familiar with how layers work, it's just you're stacking different images on top of each other. If the properties palette is taken over, simply double click to maximize your space. Okay, so that's how these collapsible palettes work like. You can leave the color on, it doesn't take that much space. The properties probably does. So maybe collapse the properties, keep the layers open. You got channels and paths, leave them all together. And this is how we're going to use those palettes, okay? It's layers are like stacks of pieces of paper. The layers panel is where you organize and manage parts of your image as separate editable layers. Learn more. So if you click on that, that's going to take you through a tutorial. You can watch a video and familiarize yourself with layers as well. All right, so let's keep going forward here. Like I got my own lessons to teach you, and the software has their own. So you got lots of tools here to learn from. All right, any other questions before I continue? So far, we're still kind of near the beginning of the exercise. Don't worry, we're going to move a little faster as we go down for some of you that are maybe a little more, I guess, acquainted with the software. So let's go ahead and now, so we select the marquee tool. We did the Command J. Use the quick selection tool to paint the selection of the melon and save. Okay, so we don't have to we already did this, or means you can subsequently do the other part. So I like how we did the previous one, so that's fine. Don't worry about the quick selection tool. I'll incorporate that one in another part of the exercise, so leave it alone. Let's move on to the mouth part now. Okay, it's telling us to save the file. So if it's called selecting start PSD, can you do a save as and save it as a separate file, like working in progress? And after we'll save a finished version. So you might end up with like 3 copies, but at least you have some file management skills to go with it. So do a save as. So instead of selecting start, this will be called selecting working. So it's a working file. Okay, so notice how I put underscore, proper nomenclature just to keep things computer oriented. They don't like some spaces or weird characters, especially the older platforms, right? So we're going to use underscores. Space works as well. You don't have to be that finicky about this. We're not doing a website. With websites, you have to be careful with HTML files and JPEGs and PNGs. This is going to be a Photoshop document. So selecting working is fine. Save it as a Photoshop file. Go ahead. All right, the next part is we're going to zoom in the tomato. We're going to do the elliptical tool, and we're going to hit Command J, just like we did with the other one. We're going to rename mouth. We're going to reorder it, and we're going to transform it, and we're going to squish the tomato to make it look like a mouth. Okay, let's do our best doing that. So this is the next part I'm going to go over now. How do you zoom into the tomato? The shortcut to zoom in is Command or Control plus. Okay, Mac, PC, doesn't matter. This shortcut works in every Adobe application, especially the main ones that you're learning this semester. Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, they do the same thing. If you hold the space bar, look, I'm still in this magic eraser tool, by the way. But regardless of that, if I hold the space bar, I get the hand tool, which I can pan the image wherever I want to go. So this is how you can navigate through the software. So you can use Command plus, Command minus, spacebar, position. So practice this because it's important, because then you can zoom out. Command minus is zoom out, Command plus is zoom in. Where the mouse cursor is where the zooming in actually happens. You have to just move it sometimes. Some programs work like that. Zoom in close enough, all right? And now we're going to utilize the elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to teach you a nice trick on how to capture a perfect elliptical selection. The way I gauge this is, here's my hand tool here. I estimate approximate position on the X value. The X value is horizontal. The Y value is vertical. And as you know, that's how computers work with pixels. It's all based on coordinates. Let me show you what I mean. If I go to the info palette, look at these X and Y coordinates change here. See, 900 pixels, 200 pixels. This is all about how you image map the coordinates, okay? So roughly, if I want to grab this selection, strategically, you want to start from here and here, wherever these two meet. Now, if you can't create this imaginary line, what you can do is also create guides. And to create guides is a very popular aspect in most Adobe applications. You got to open up the rulers first. Now, the shortcut for rulers is universal again across all your Adobe Creative Cloud applications. So if you press Command R or Control R, you're going to open up the rulers. It's also under View, and you can show the rulers or hide the rulers this way. Once the rulers are visible, you can then go right to the top part of the ruler here and literally click on it and drag a guide that goes right down here. Same thing from the left. Notice how there's not one on the right or the bottom, because the cross factor is from the top left corner, basically. That's how naturally we select things. So we're going to go to the left side of the ruler and drag a vertical guide right to trap the tomato on the left side. This now creates a lot, I guess, sharper or clear approximate position for me to accomplish my selection. This trick works really well for the older methods. We used to do, like, you might even do the vinyl this semester for your collaborative project. Let's say we're doing a CD or anything round or some kind of a ball or an object. This method basically captures the perfect selection every time because you're trapping the coordinates. So if you start from here right now where the X and Y coordinates meet, if you drag a selection all the way here, you're going to see how perfect the selection will be, okay? Or pretty close to, depending on the resolution and the proximity and all these other factors. All right, I wasn't holding shift. If your selection is not coming out right, you might have to just do it again. Click away. Let's try it one more time. This time I'm going to go slightly inside, just a pixel or two. Why am I doing this? Because I don't want to grab anything on the outside of the selection. I'd rather grab the inside than the outside. So it's okay if I miss these little edges. I'll show you other ways to perfect these things. It is a tomato after all. It's not that perfectly elliptical, although it's almost perfect. So once your elliptical selection's there, it doesn't have to be perfect again. This is where you have to be very, very careful. So you have to make a conscious effort to always know where you are. That means like, what layer are you in? In this case, I'm still in the melon head layer. If I have a selection like this selected on the tomato and I have the melon layer selected, it's not going to do anything because the tomato doesn't reside in the melon head layer. The tomato originally resides in the background copy layer. So you have to make sure that layer is selected in order to extract the selection successfully. So you have to be in this layer here, and then you have to press Command J or copy and paste to extract the tomato in a separate layer. So this is something that you have to be really aware of going forward, because we're going to do this for every item that we're going to copy and paste separately. Once you accomplish that, you're going to rename this layer. You're going to call it mouth or tomato mouth. Okay, that's going to be the mouthpiece for our character. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, Command minus. And now to move this tomato in the right target zone, I'm going to ask you to select the Move tool. The Move tool is the most, I would say, the most important tool in Photoshop, as well as the selection tools, because without the Move tool, you can't really move anything on your layout, on your composition. So because the tomato mouth is selected now, and I copied and pasted the exact thing, when I move it, this is just a copy that I copied from the original to this one. This is the copy. Right? If I hide this one, you extracted the tomato from the original image onto a separate layer, which will be placed on top of the melon. Now notice when I'm doing this, I can't really see it. Well, that's because the order is behind the melon head. In order for the tomato to be visible on top, I have to move the tomato mouth on top of the melon head. So now you can see how it's going to properly be visible. Okay. So the tomato mouth and the melon head are two separate items, and we're going to keep acquiring more of these elements from the background copy layer. So make sure all this is set up the way I have it right here. All right, I'm going to do another quick save, and then before I go forward, I'm going to pause after every step along the way to make sure everyone is okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we finished this. Now we're going to move on to the eyes. Okay, and that's the first page, and we have another page after that. Okay, and the eyes are a very good, interesting component of learning how this method works with other methods, of course. So we're going to, once you finish this exercise, you're going to get that much more comfortable with the software. This is like the icebreaker right here. So that's why I really, really love this exercise. Like I mentioned earlier in the previous lessons, we would, maybe David remembers because he had me for another class. I used some of the same material for some of the previous ones we used, but we did the tomato head, the Mr. Potato Head last time. This was just another example here, Mr. Potato Head. Right, so we would basically do something like this, have some fun, and put up some potato head parts and make our own. I don't know how Walmart just came up from Mr. Potato Head. I think the link was Walmart. So from this to the watermelon, I think it's maybe a healthier option. We're using fruits and vegetables here. But let me show you something else. As we were looking for potatoes on the internet, if you guys heard of the $1 million potato? So this potato image here sold for like $1 million, maybe more, $1 million. That's in British pounds, probably $1.5 million Canadian. But this gentleman here took the picture, okay, and he was very famous for this picture of the potato head. So we would take this potato, and the joke was we would sell it for like $2 million because we did so much stuff with it. And Kevin Bosch was the photographer that took this potato. He sold it for $1 million, just a picture of the potato. It looked like some kind of a planet or some kind of a object in space, a meteor or something, and that was the notion that everyone was under. Yes, Aaron, go ahead.
I did it. I found the mic. I think there is a bit in my brain that is missing. So. I am on the tomato mouth layer. I have done the selectee, but then I just like click it and put it on the inside of the marquee. I select it and I put it and nothing happens. Like it doesn't actually select the tomato and I feel dumb. So.
And you're using the elliptical marquee tool, correct?
Oui. Yes.
And selected the tomato. And what's happening like this when you do the selection? Do you see the selection or no?
Like I select it and I see like the dotted line, but then I click it and put it over to the melon and it just isn't a tomato. It's just the marquee.
Oh, yeah, but you're missing a step. So when you have the tomato selected, okay, what you have to do, Aaron, is you have to copy and paste it. You have to extract it to a separate layer. Did you do that part?
I thought I did, but then maybe I did not do it. So should I start on the background copy layer?
Yeah, it's always in the background copy. You can let me make this thumbnail bigger on my screen here so you can see it. I'm gonna go over here to my layer, my palette options, panel options. And I'm gonna make this as big as possible. You can clearly see my layers now. There's my tomato mouth separate. There's my melon head. There's my background layer. If you extract it, you can see that it's extracted because you would see it, added on as a separate layer.
Yes, and I do see that.
Oh, you do? Okay. So then select did you name it tomato mouth?
Sure did.
Okay. So then go to the move tool. So make sure there's no more selection. Because when you do copy and paste, the selection should disappear. If it doesn't,
it worked.
Then go to select, deselect the selection. If you still have a selection, so the reason why now I'm figuring out what Erin did a little different than me was she had a selection here and she was trying to, if you move the selection, Erin, was this what was happening? The selection was moving, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, so that's fine. You can move a selection and that's pretty much a good way to do that if that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to use the same selection to grab something else, right? But if you want to move the tomato, you want to deselect the selection by clicking somewhere away because you're still in the selection tool. You go to select or deselect, okay? Deselect, select, deselect. There it is. Command D, deselect. And then you got to go to the move tool to move the actual layer onto the right place. So be very mindful of selections or moving things around. Because I know we get caught up into thinking things like, oh yeah, just move it. It's not that easy. There's steps involved. There's a selection. You have to deselect the selection. You have to go to the move tool and you have to move the layer to the right place. You see, there's all these, it'll come naturally when you do this more than once. So be patient. And for those of you who still have the same issue that Aaron did, hope this was a good little reminder for all of you. Okay. Any more questions? You're welcome. Very welcome. I'm glad it worked out. All right. So let's move forward then. I mean, this is the main premise. Once you learn this back and forth, it's just repetition. We're going to repeat the same thing for the rest of the exercise. The only difference is we're going to use different selection methods, and you're going to learn all the methods, except some of the more super advanced ones that we're going to do later. But for now, all the basic intermediate methods are going to be learned. Okay, so let's continue. Now that the mouth is finished, I'll transform and warp the mouth. Look at that. Transform and warp the mouth. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we can literally transform this tomato mouth by going to make sure it's selected first. Go to Edit, Transform. Now, transform basically has a free transform. That's my favorite way to transform is this one, Command T, because this one lets you do this. If you hold Shift, you get to squish it. If you hold Shift, okay, you can do like some, I guess, call it a distortion of the transform. Now, let me introduce to you some of the stuff I teach you might not be even here, just some extra stuff that I want you to learn along the way. Why not, since it's there? Under Edit, Transform, I want you to try a warp. This was a really cool feature when it first came out, I guess, years ago. but what it does is basically it lets you work with different types of anchor points to create a more customized transform result. So you can make this watermelon more like a mouth-shaped watermelon. So notice how I'm tucking these things in. And if you're using Illustrator, this might look very similar as the same tools kind of look alike. So you don't have to do this. This is not necessary. I just thought I'd maybe introduce this feature here for you. And I'll press enter now. And now I have a more like a mouth-shaped tomato simply by me using not just the transform or basic free transform method. I took it a step further by using the warp feature in Photoshop. And I call it like a pixel playground because you get to edit every pixel in a object-oriented fashion, like that, like the anchor points and stuff. Okay, so that's that. All right, let's move forward now to the eyes. So we're gonna zoom into the blueberry. We're gonna use the elliptical marquee tool again. We're gonna press shift to make it perfect. We're gonna draw a perfect circle around the blueberry. We're gonna extract it with Command J. We're gonna make a new layer, of course. We're gonna rename it Iris. We're gonna use the move tool. Just so, like we did with the tomato, we're gonna move it to a white space. We're gonna zoom into the orange. All right, so the orange and the blueberries basically is what we're gonna use, okay? All right, perfect. So in order to do this successfully, we're gonna have to zoom out a bit. We're gonna have to be in the background copy layer. So just remember that every time we target a new part of the selection process, we have to be in this layer. And then we zoom into the blueberries, as we were told, right? There's the blueberry. I'm going to use the elliptical marquee tool again. I'm going to target, I'm not going to put a grid again like last time. I mean, you could put a grid if you want, but it's not really necessary because when you zoomed in, this is not the best quality image. You can see the pixel grid is right here and right there. So you can strategically position your cursor in this location, click and drag the mouse. I don't know if you even have to hold shift. I guess I will, right? I'll go slightly inside. Now watch what I'll do with my arrow keys, my directional D-pad on the keyboard. I'm going to go down, down, left, left, up, down, right, left. I'm going to position it to a more approximate position, okay? Because I can't do that with the mouse sometimes. It's jerky. It's not as stable. So if I use my arrow keys, I can position it exactly where I want it to be. Or if it's not good, recreate the selection, okay? Let me teach you one more trick. Under select, did you know you can also transform the selection? Let's just say you're having a tough time making a selection and it's not landing properly. Well, you can do a transform selection where you can actually transform the selection like you would in a normal layer setting. Okay, so that's an extra tip right there. So now you know how to really perfect your selection based on, you know, any such circumstance. So press enter. You don't have to press enter if you didn't do transform selection, of course, just keep it here. And I'm going to do Command J or copy and paste to extract this layer one, and I'll call it Iris because Iris is part of the eyeball, and that's what's going to happen here with this. And then we're going to zoom out. We're going to use the move tool, and we're going to move this to like a white area just so we can see it somewhere in the white background. Maybe I'll move it closer to the watermelon. Why not? Oh, it's not showing up. Maybe I'll leave it here for now. And of course, to move it on top, I got to put it on top of the watermelon to put it on top of the watermelon this way. But because we're going to use the orange peel as the eyeball in conjunction with the iris, it's going to look a lot better when we're done. I'm hearing some background noise, so if you can mute your microphone. Who's got their mics on? Someone's got to. Aaron, can you turn off your microphone, please?
My bad.
Thank you. No worries. Alrighty, so we're going to now go right back to Photoshop for a second. Right? We're going to click on the orange peel here. But again, you got to be in the background layer. If you just click, it might select it automatically. Notice what's happening if I click on the watermelon, if I click on the tomato mouth, if I click on the blueberry iris I extracted, it's selecting the layers automatically for me. So this wasn't a default setup. If I go like several versions ago, this thing was automatically disabled. You had to enable this for this to work. So it is right now by default. I'd leave it alone, but I just want you to be mindful of it. You can kind of click and it'll select the layer directly, like an object-oriented fashion, like Illustrator, for example. If you click on an object, you select the object. Whereas Photoshop is a little more finicky. You have to dig the layer up, select the layer, and then perform the selection. Well, because auto select layer is selected by default and you have the move tool selected, every time you click on something with the move tool, it'll select the layer for you, like the background, the iris, the melon head, the mouth. So just be, mindful of that, and you can easily select the background or select it from here to be really, really sure. Okay, so do it this way. All right, let's zoom in again. This one presents a different challenge. It says option start at center. I really like this because sometimes you can literally go, instead of doing that trick I showed you earlier from the top left corner always to the bottom right corner, that might not always work. Sometimes you can see the center position, which is right here. So if I click on the center, and if I don't hold option, look what happens. I'm gonna obviously go that way. That's not gonna work, right? But if you hold option or alt on a PC, option on the Mac, if you hold option and you start from the center, what's going to happen is it'll center out the selection like this. Sometimes it gives you a better accurate result than doing from the top left corner going to the bottom right corner. This time I went from the center out. The only way that works is if I hold option. And yes, Illustrator does the same thing. I'll keep referencing Illustrator because a lot of these tools are similar, and you're learning both programs, so might as well. Even InDesign has very similar shortcuts. Now that we have the orange peel selected, or I should say the orange slice, make sure the background layer is also highlighted. We're going to do Command J, or copy and paste, to extract the orange slice. We're going to rename it orange eye. We're going to move it just underneath the iris. Look at the strategic positioning. The iris is on top of the orange eye, because now if I move it here, it'll look like the actual eye itself. It's a little big for an eye, so we're going to definitely reduce the size of that. But if this is behind or on top, you won't see the iris. So make sure the orientation is this way. You have the melon head, the orange eye, the iris. The tomato mouth can go anywhere, but at the top is just fine for now. I'm just gonna maybe move it down here. Tomato mouth, orange eye, iris. Now the orange eye is way too big, so I'm going to teach you a shortcut. Okay, learn this one, okay? I know you learned Command J so far. Another one I want you to remember for today's lesson is Command T. Command T is your ultimate shortcut for transforming anything in Photoshop. So Command T for transform, or Control T on the PC. That's located right here under free transform, and you can see the shortcut affiliated with this. It's Command T. Most of the shortcuts are part of the menu. So whenever you want to learn a shortcut, it's all here. It tells you this is like an advanced one. This is like Option Command Shift A. You got to be an octopus for this one. You got to have a lot of hands involved, right? So some of them require 3 or 4 shortcuts together in conjunction with the letter like A or R or whatever. Some of them are more simple. So you can just use in this case was Command T. So let's hit Command T, right? And what that's going to do is basically give us a resizing bounding box, and you can move it exactly to the approximate area, and it'll be nice and round. If you don't want it round, you can hold Shift and you can distort it. Okay, like maybe you can move it maybe this way a bit. Right? Like a cartoon character. So it's up to you how you want to characterize this melon head, but I used a little bit of both. So Command T, okay? Shift does the distortion. If you don't hold Shift, it keeps it constrained. So this way it's always not going to be distorted. And once it's done, you have to press Enter. If you're not happy with the result, press Escape. Escape exits the action. Enter acknowledges the action, whatever it is that you're making. In this case, it was transform. All right, now that we have the orange eye and the iris together, what I want to show you is how to merge layers. And this is another technique with layers that we're going to learn. So if you hold Shift, and if you select the iris and the orange together like this, they're both selected, dual layers selected, you can then click, you can go to right click, or you can go over here on the palette sub menu or the little hamburger menu here, and you can do what's called link layers. You can also merge layers, okay? Let's do link layers for now, because what I want to show you is how they're linked together, which means if you click on any one of them, they move as a group, you see? Now, grouping is different. I know, again, I'm going to reference Illustrator. You can group objects. In Photoshop, group means like you're making a folder. If I press Command G right now, look, it made a folder of the actual.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I make smaller any object, is it normal that it loses resolution when I put it like in different sizes?
When you make it smaller or bigger?
Both. I mean, like if I made it smaller, but I changed my mind and I want it bigger, and it changes resolution, like reduces.
Yes. So to answer your question, because this is not a smart object, it's
Okay.
it's pixels, which means it's destructive. Destructive means it loses quality. Yes, it is. So, for example, and that's a great question. Sorry, is it Maria, right? Maria's
Yeah.
asking the question. So, Maria, to answer your question further, let's take this tomato, for example. And this is something that we're going to look at other examples as well. But for now, since it's asked, I'm going to press Command T on this tomato. As soon as I do this, it looks pixelated as a preview. But once you press Enter, Maria, it should look a little more defined. Now, notice how even if I press Enter, it looks pretty blurry and pretty bad, right? That's because it's a normal pixel layer. We're having fun with this exercise. If this was a more, I guess, high quality assignment, we would import these images from sources, and they would be smart objects. Smart objects are non-destructive. That means you can resize them at any time, and they won't lose any resolution. For this one, if I'm going to do this all day, look at this. I'm going to do this, press Enter, do this, press Enter, do this, press Enter, back and forth. If I keep doing this, eventually I don't see it lose that much quality. Maybe it's the beta version I'm using, but it's going to go bad eventually, especially if you go from small to big, and back and forth, it's going to lose quality. So to answer your question, yes, just try not to do it too often, maybe once or twice, and just keep it, it's better to go smaller than bigger. If you go bigger, you're distorting the quality. Because if I'm going to take this tomato and make it bigger, look at the quality. It's not that good, right? But if I reduce it smaller, it's going to be better quality because you're concentrating more pixels per square inch. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So don't worry for this one right now. This is just a fun exercise, but in the future, it's a really something important to consider. That's why I'm going to show you how smart objects work, and I have another exercise for that. Okay, so I'll definitely dwell on this a little more later. Okay, all right. Let me put this back again. There we go. Did you link these two layers, the iris and the orange? Make sure they're linked. So don't do Command G. Like don't do Command G because it groups the layers and then it puts them in a folder. We're not ready for this yet. This happens later when we're doing a lot of different things and you have tons of layers. We're talking like 20, 30, 40 layers, and you want to keep them organized. And that's when you assign groups. For now, it's not necessary. I'm just going to press Command Z, edit, undo. If you do Command Z, it just goes back in time. It undoes what you did last time. So just undo the group for now. Here I have the two layers selected, and I'm going to show you a very important shortcut here to copy something. I know so far we've been using Command J, copy and paste, but if you are in the Move tool and you're moving layers around, just like you would move objects in Illustrator, if you hold Option or Alt on a PC, if you move this to another location while you're holding Option, what's happening is it's duplicating the layer at the same time. This is a useful tactic because now you can actually go and move things around. Now notice what happens. This duplicate is not linked like the other one. These were linked. These are not linked. They're still separate because I didn't tell them to be linked. Just because I duplicated the linked ones, it didn't copy the linked attribute, if you follow me. This is not a big deal. It's very miscellaneous, but it's good to know these things. I mean, honestly, what I would do is probably merge the layers. Let's do that for this one. I'm going to copy the iris and the orange, and this time I'll just merge them. Because if you merge layers, they're just one layer now. The thing with this is you can't undo it. This is like done for good. Whereas the linked layers, you can always unlink them. You can unlink the layers and still move this around in a different combination. This is merged into one layer, so it's basically it can't be edited any further. Okay, so this is good little things to note going forward, because who knows of the situation that you might be in when it comes to these things. So maybe just for now, to minimize my layer space, I'm gonna select these two and merge them as well. Now that I demonstrated the difference between merging and linking, I'm gonna go ahead and go merge layers. Don't merge visible, because everything that's visible will be merged. Make sure it's merge layers. Okay, let me just show you again, because it's easy to confuse these two. So merge layers, merge visible, okay? They're two different things, okay? So if you just select merge layers, it's gonna merge the selected layers. Now I'm gonna move them over here. There we go. I'm gonna do a quick save. So now I have iris1 copy, iris. I'm gonna rename these and call it I1, and this will be called I2. All right, so I got, or you can do left eye, right eye, depending on what's left, what's right, the way you're looking at it. This is your mouth. That's the melon head. Okay, you won't see nothing happen because it's on top of itself, so that's fine. And everything else is good to go. All right, let me see how everyone else is doing. Any questions from anyone? Like I said, this is a very, a really good exercise to learn some of the important fundamentals of the software. This will prepare you for many advanced things to come in the other lessons. So once you get this lesson accomplished, you will feel that much more confidence and that much more knowledge in the software. Okay, so any questions before I continue? This session is still being recorded, just for the record. So in case you're kind of falling behind or you're just not up to doing this with me right now, you can watch the video later. All right, so no questions. Let me continue then. All right, so we're gonna move further ahead with the eyes are done. I think we did all this stuff here. That was a long step there. It's a lot of steps. We arranged the layer order. We used the move tool. Merge linked. There we go. We did all that stuff. All right, next, the nose. So we're almost done here. Not much left. The nose is going to be the pepper. We're going to use the Magic Wand tool, one of the most popular tools in the origins of Photoshop. We're going to use different tolerances to select different colors of the Magic Wand. I remember there was a question asked last week where I think the student couldn't select a color, and I went over the tolerance value, and today I'm going to reiterate that right now. So we're going to select most of the pepper, We're going to Command J it. We're going to put on a new layer. We're going to name it nose, and we're going to reorder it and put it on top of the melon. So we're going to do all this right now. All these other images, a lot of them have like a white background. Well, this one has a more complex background. It's got like a cutting board with some other fruits and vegetables in the background. So the best way to select this from a traditional standpoint, without getting into masking and some more advanced selection methods, which I'm going to go over, is to select press W on your keyboard. If you hold W, and if you hold the mouse, you can click on the magic wand. Magic wand. So make sure you click on the magic wand tool. This used to be like the primary tool that used to always be the first one there. And we're going to go down to the background copy layer. You know what? We don't need the background layer. I'm just going to delete it just to keep things less to look at, less distractions, right? Just one background layer is all you need. You don't need two. That was just a precautionary step to keep a copy in case something goes wrong. So background copy, I'll just call it background. There we go, right? We're going to use the magic wand, and I'm going to click inside the green of the pepper. What green am I going to click on? Well, there's like a light green, there's like a dark green, there's like a mid green. I'm going to try the mid green right over here. You can see the pixels here. I'm going to click on this pixel here, and notice how it selects these green variations. So if I click here, it selects the lighter variations, the darker green variations, different variations here, right? So what you want to do is this. You can click on any green that you like, but if you hold Shift, Shift lets you add more to the selection. Now this looks very tedious, and you're going to be here probably like, am I going to do this all day? But you can increase the tolerance to a higher amount to pick up more of the green pixels. So in this case, instead of 32, I'm going to go to 64. I'm going to double it up. I just chose that number. You can pick any one. Don't go too high. The maximum, I believe, is 256. Okay, so stick with 64. So as soon as you hit Shift and click now, it's going to select more tolerance of that color. Too much tolerance. Look at this. It's picking up even these colors now. So maybe 64 was too big. I'm going to press Command Z. And maybe changes to 50. And I'm going to hold Shift and click on this green here, click on this green here, this green here, click inside the spots that I missed, click in there. I clicked maybe at least, I don't know, half a dozen times, and I kind of have what I want, but I don't want this part here. So I'm going to hold Option, click. Option click is subtract, Shift click is add. Notice how we did this last week, right? So I'm going to just reduce the tolerance back to 32. And with Option, I'm just going to take away some of the other stuff that I don't want and Shift. All right, maybe here, you know what? I'm just going to do this again. Tolerance, I don't know. Let's try maybe 20. There we go. 20 is good. I like 20. All right, 20 is perfect. And I was able to select all my green. I missed the stem over here. I'm going to hold Shift and grab some more of this pixels that I need. Alrighty. If it's not perfect, don't worry. We're just learning how these tools work right now. This is a learning exercise. So we're going to extract the pepper from the background layer. We're using the magic wand technique, which works with tolerance, and that picks up different tolerances of colors and pixels. And now once we're able to accomplish the whole pepper selection from the background layer, we're able to now hit Command J or copy and paste to place it on a separate layer. So I'm going to press Command J and call this pepper nose and zoom out by using Command minus, Command plus, spacebar, and move the nose all the way here. Oh, I can't see it. That's because it's behind the melon. So I'm going to move it on top of the melon head on the order, move it right where it's supposed to go. Maybe I'll move it at the very top. I want it to go behind the eyes, and on top of the mouth. So maybe I'll move it third one down, I guess. You can do any one you like. Perhaps I can utilize the same transform feature I use for the mouth. Let me put it at the very top for this to work better. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and we're going to do the warp feature again. And the warp feature is not mentioned in the exercise. This is just an extra thing I like to do from time to time. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go and give this nose a little more characteristic attribute here. Right, that's fine. All right, and if I want to hide one eye on top, one eye in front, I can move this eye on top of the nose, and this one's behind the nose. So it's like a nice little oriented setup. So this is in front, this is behind, and this is behind the actual nose. So it's got a little bit of depth and dimension, if you want to see it that way. All right. So that was using the magic wand, and that was the nose portion of the melon head. Let's save the file again. And before I continue, I'd like to pause and reflect back and see how everyone is doing. We got a few more items left, and I guess in the next 15, 20 minutes, we should get this done. Maybe 10 minutes, we'll see. All right, so how's everyone doing? Any questions from anyone? Any questions? Going once, going twice? Okay, I'm assuming everyone's doing well. So in that case, let me continue. We're down to the ear, the bow tie. So the bow tie, it will be the bow tie pasta. We're going to use the lasso tool for this one. This is now getting a little more advanced, okay? So you're going to learn some more practical methods using keyboard shortcuts and mouse in combination. We're going to start at the upper left corner. We're going to drag to the right, create a freehand outline. We're going to hold the option button here. Okay. So we're going to use the lasso tool, and we're going to expand on it quite a bit. So you're going to master the lasso tool after this one. I'm still on my first coffee for today. So let's see how I do by doing this all freehand with the lasso. The lasso is located right underneath the, the move tool. So if you press L on the keyboard, L is shortcut for lasso. So the lasso tool, okay, is right here. Notice how there's two other ones. There's the polygonal lasso tool, and there's the magnetic lasso tool. We're going to cover these two with this exercise, and I'll cover the magnetic with another one. So by the time we're done this exercise here, you're going to learn how to use all these tools. Like last week, we used some of these as well. So today we're going to pretty much cover all of them. We did the magic wand. We're going to use the quick selection tool next. Okay. We're going to use the object selection tool as well. Okay. Now we're using the lasso tools. And those are the main selection tools. Once we use all these tools, and that's why I like this exercise, because it covers all of them. The only one it doesn't really point out is this one here, because it came out right after the exercise was generated. And these things take a long time to create and publish and set up. And then you have to get, approval and stuff. So, I'm not going to make an exercise every time a tool comes out in Photoshop. As long as the main premise is the same, and the object of learning the tools is there. If we have an extra tool that's not in the handout, I can easily explain it myself during my demonstrations. So this is the one here. Really good tool. Everyone loves it. It's a little too easy if you ask me, but it's good. It's called the object selection tool. So I'm going to cover that later on, like last. All right, let's stick with the subject now. We're going to use the lasso tool. I'm going to start here. All right, so here means like in the corner of the pasta looking bow tie. I'm going to click and drag the mouse. And I'm using a mouse. I'm not using a trackpad because the trackpad, good luck, okay, if you do this with a trackpad. So look at this. I'm just using a steady hand here. All right. Oh, I missed a spot. That's okay. There we go. Right. I mean, even though I've used the mouse for like, you know, over 25 years now, it's still not going to be perfect. Look at this. It's not that bad, but there. Okay. That's how I would do the pasta. Now, the exercise says to do that and more. It says, listen, if you're going to do the lasso, there's a little helper along the way. You can integrate Alt and Option along the way to help you constrain this selection process much easier and more controllably. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to do it one more time. So if you click on the lasso tool and you integrate Option in conjunction with your selections. So when I basically click here, watch this, freehand. And then when I'm here now with these geometrical patterns, I'm going to hold Option. If I hold Option or Alt, I can rest my hand on my mouse and just move it without clicking anything. I can just kind of run it. It's like a little elastic band, like it snaps. And then I can go like this. I can go click, 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 and click, and keep clicking on different points because that's what those ridges are. So I'm going to keep doing this back and forth. And now when I get to the round point, I'm going to hold the mouse and freehand my way all the way around. I'm holding Option the whole time, okay? Because if I let go of Option, the whole thing's done. So I'm going to hold Option and just release the mouse and catch different waypoints like this. So I'm holding Option the whole time. Like I didn't start with Option, I started with the mouse, and then I held Option down as I am still pressing Option the whole time. So this gives me a lot more leverage and control, as you can see. Now I'm just going to do the clicks. See, the clicks, back and forth. There we go. And yeah, you can perfect the selection in many other methods I'm going to teach you. But for now, I want you to practice this so you become good at it, right? Done. Not perfect, but not bad. I think it's pretty good. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. How about that? Okay. Maybe 8.5.
I'm sorry, I don't think I get like how to do like shift thing. So can you do it again?
So it's not shift, it's Option. Okay?
Oh, Option. Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's why. So as you're dragging the mouse with this lasso, hold the Option key now and then to get it to work for you. Okay.
Professor, I'm trying to do that. I have a PC, and I'm not sure if it is with control, but it's not working.
So you're using a PC. So for you, it would be Alt, the Alt key.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So this is why I want everybody to recognize Alt is the same as Option on the Mac, right?
Okay.
So you hold the Alt key. Yeah.
Thank
Ready?
you.
No problem. All right. So try it once, twice, try it 3 times. This is how you practice this. This is a good method to learn because once you master this, lasso method, I use this all the time because it's so fast and easy. I don't have to do these advanced tricks and maskings and stuff. If I can pull this off quickly with the lasso, whatever works. A rectangle is a rectangle, circle is a circle, a shape is a shape. So any way you can extract and select something, this is how you do it. Yes, Aaron, go ahead.
I was wondering if there's a way to kind of tweak it as you go along. Like if I screwed up halfway down, I'm like, gee willikers, I really like the beginning of that though. Then
Of course. So watch this, Aaron. Let's say I'm gonna tweak my part here. You see how this part is a little off?
Yeah.
Remember the first lesson last week? Option, subtract. Look at this. I'm just going to go like this and take that out. See? And shift is add. Let's say I want to add, let's say I missed a part over here. I can hold shift and add these pixels like that. You see? So if I hold option, I can take it out. If I hold shift, I can add it back in. How cool is that?
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Affirmative.
So it's really forgiving in that sense. And thank you for asking the question, by the way. I wanted to primarily focus on making this as best as you can. But yes, of course, you can, add or subtract from selection at any given time. As you know already, shift adds, right? And option subtracts all the time. Okay, so you can definitely perfect this. You're welcome. And since I'm doing this now, I'm going to zoom in here, and now you got me fixing this thing perfect. I'm going to hold option now, fixing this all the way here like that. Okay. I think it's good enough. And practice this one. This one's a really good one. Okay. It also says as an alternative, use a quick selection tool, which I'd rather save the quick selection tool for the mushroom. And then I'm going to save the new tool for the radish. And I'll use the magnetic tool for the grapefruit. And then we're done. You're going to learn all the cool selection methods with one exercise. So in order to extract this, I have to be mindful that to select the background layer. Because look, the background layer is where this resides, okay? So you have to make sure you're in the background layer. As a matter of fact, I don't know if, yeah, this should work regardless, this tool. Some tools work only in the layers that you select. The more traditional tools work either way. That's why you can easily, not do this correctly if you're not in the right layer. So in the background layer, the selection's done. I'm going to go ahead and do Command J or copy and paste and just simply extract this little bow tie on its own. I'm going to place it on top of the melon head. I'm going to zoom out, use the move tool, and move it right over here. More like a decor piece for the watermelon head. All right. I'm liking this one better than the other one we did last time. It's maybe getting better at this every time we do it. Alrighty. So any other questions? I know this was a tricky one. This is more like intermediate or advanced way of selecting using lasso with shortcuts. And it takes a while to get used to. And please, again, just invest in a mouse. It's so much easier to use like a mouse. My mouse is an old classic mouse. I don't mind the new Magic Mouse or Mighty Mouse, whatever they're called. I like the classic one because I just cusps my hand better and it's better control. It's a laser mouse too, so you can use any type of mouse that you like. Some students like gaming mouses they use with all these other buttons and configurations. They can program their mouse to do copy and paste. It's amazing what you can do these days with your tools. So whatever works for you, the mouse it will help you in this case a lot better than using a trackpad. All right, let's go back again here. We're almost to the finish line. We finished the bow tie. Now we're going to do the grapefruit slice. For this one, we're going to use the magnetic lasso tool. That's the other one that I haven't demonstrated yet. So this one will cover that. We're going to do the red flesh of the grapefruit, release the mouse button, begin the tracing. So we're going to do that. And we're going to use free transform. I'm going to teach you how to flip something horizontally or vertically once it's duplicated. And this will be placed inside the ear section of the watermelon head. So I'm going to zoom in right now. And lo and behold, here comes so we did the lasso. By the way, when we held Option or Alt, you were toggling between the polygonal and the lasso. Because the polygonal tool works like this, you see? As soon as you hold Option, you're switching to the lasso. If you let go, you're holding this. By the way, if this gets all like messed up on you, like me right now, and you're like, how do I get rid of this? What's going on? Always remember this. Press Escape. Escape just resets your tools. So that's your escape key. Okay. So we just covered these two together in conjunction with one another by holding Alt or Option. But this next one you got to perform on its own. It's called the magnetic lasso tool. So this one works by sticking to the pixels of contrast. So if I click on this area here, it's able to differentiate like the white background with this grapefruit color. So basically, if you click here, if you go down this way, and you click periodically, like I would click maybe here, and maybe over here, and maybe over here. I'm just clicking. I click like maybe 7 times so far. This tool is very smart. See, AI existed a long time ago. With this, the new way it's presented now, it's like the third level of AI. But this artificial intelligence knows the difference between pixels. If you go over here, it can detect the edges and very cleverly select only the pixels that you want. And if I go all the way across now, it's just going to follow the line. You still have to have a steady hand. You can't go too far off. So it helps to do this nice and slowly and take your time. The thing about this one is you have to start and finish exactly at the same point. So I'm going to go all the way here and click where I started. You see a little 0 show up beside the lasso. So if you click, or the magnetic lasso, I should say. So if you click there, it's going to fulfill the selection based on what we just did. And that's how the magnetic lasso could be beneficial to doing these kind of things. It's really clever, and it picks up the contrast between the pixels of targeting, right? So now once we have the selection done, and this was the lasso tool, make sure, look, I'm in the wrong layer. I'm in the bow tie layer. Make sure you're in the background layer, and you're able to extract the selection by doing copy and paste or Command J to a new layer. We're going to call this ear 01. We're going to go to the move tool. We're going to move the, whoops, wrong tool there, the move tool. We're going to move this accordingly. I'm going to zoom out. It's got like cauliflower ears, like the MMA fighters. And then I'm going to move it to the side over here. I'm going to press Command T or Control T on the keyboard. And to rotate an object in Photoshop, what you have to do is this. You have to move the cursor on the outer edge of the bounding box. Anywhere, actually. As long as you're outside of the box here, you can rotate the shape, just like that. Okay, so you can just rotate this anywhere you want. As long as you're outside. If you're inside, you get to move it. If you're on the outside, you get to rotate it. And if you grab the actual bounding box anchor points, you get to resize it smaller or larger. So you get to do this. If you want to squish it, you have to hold Shift, okay? So all these shortcuts are important to learn at this point. So rotate, scale, Shift basically takes away the constraint features. You get to distort it. All right. Option works in many different ways. As you saw today, we were able to duplicate layers by dragging them. The lasso tool switches with the polygonal lasso tool, holding Option. Shift adds, Option subtracts it's from selections. It could be a little confusing at first, but once you utilize these techniques over and over again, it's easier for them to come naturally, and you don't have to remember much. You just have to keep doing it. All right, so I'm going to press Enter, and this is how the ears will look so far. All right, well, 1 ear anyways, right? This is the ear 1. And to copy the same duplicate of this ear to the other side, what I have to do is basically duplicate this layer. So you can do 2 things. You can right click, you can duplicate the layer. Oops. Oh, there it is up here. I was looking, where's the duplicate layer? So usually it used to be in the middle, now it's at the top of the list. You can do this, duplicate layer, so you have a copy. And this copy, you take on the other side and you flip it, right? Or I like to show you something more practical. Instead of, look how long it took me to find it, like right click, and I was looking for a duplicate layer. If you option drag, just to reiterate what I said earlier, if you option drag, it's the same thing. You duplicate the layer. Look, option drag. If you hold option and drag, you're just duplicating layers the whole time. So you want to just keep it simple. All right. You want to option drag to the other side like this. And you could do Command T, which is free transform. Remember this one? Free transform. That's another shortcut I want you to remember today. Lots of shortcuts today to remember. Option, Shift, Command T, Command J. I'm not going to overwhelm you, but those are the ones you want to remember, okay? So this one, you can literally go and do this, right? You can rotate it and do that and press Enter. Or alternatively, you can go to Edit, Transform, and you can do what's called a flip. You can flip it horizontally, vertically. In this case, I'll do horizontally, so it goes that way, as opposed to what I was going to show you as another measure. And if I go back to edit again, transform, flip horizontally again, it flips it horizontally. And vertically is vertically, like vertically does this, see? There we go. All right, so you can flip it any way you like by using the edit menus under transform. I have a whole exercise on transform. This is even an older exercise, but it's still very, very, very good to keep and learn from. Those are the PDFs I shared with you here through Blackboard. One day I'll go through those just to kind of show you what I mean. So these are all under here, layers and Photoshop tools. Where is it again here? Photoshop PDF tutorials. So these are the ones I was telling you about. Let me just download those to show you some other stuff we're going to learn from. These are also step-by-step tutorials. Something I used to print and give to my students in the classroom. As you know now, we hardly print many things these days, but it's still good to have a tangible resource that you can kind of do your own scripting and handwritten notes and that kind of stuff. So if you want to print this out, you're more than welcome to. I believe we have a printer in the school if you want to do it there. So Photoshop PDFs, save. All right, I asked you to download the layers and selections file prior to starting the lesson today. So we're going to use this for the next several weeks. This is just an extra resource I wanted to give to you as a gift for you to have. And these are just Photoshop tools and quick tips. It just shows you all the tools basically. And as I mentioned earlier, they all have a shortcut affiliated with each one. All right, so whichever tool you're looking for, it has everything there. Right. I think this is not the updated one. I'll give you a more up-to-date one with more elaborate tools and commands, okay? There's so much stuff. I can just Google one right now if you want. So you can just get all kinds of resources. But this is pretty current, but not the latest one. I'll get you a newer one. I'll update that. I just noticed it. All right, so these are the links that you want to definitely keep your eyes on. So download, if you haven't, I know you did this earlier, download this one to show you what that is. Maybe when I finish this, I'll dive into that file and show you all the different literature I have ready for you. Any questions so far? Because we're almost done. We're approaching the finish line of the exercise and want to make sure everyone's okay. Alrighty, okay, very good. So let's keep going forward. So now the last thing is we have a few more things actually. We have this is called Quick Mask. I'm going to change it to, these guides, by the way. How do we get rid of these guides? You can literally drag them out, or you can just go to View, Guides, Clear Guides. I find them distracting sometimes. They're temporary measure to use. Unless you're using InDesign, then you want to keep the guides there for more alignment purposes and stuff. But for Photoshop, I think it's good as a temporary measure. We're going to be doing like creating a website prototype near the end of the semester. So the guides will be there to stay, I think, in that regard because of the way it's going to be set up. But because we're doing this very creative type of montage, you only need them there temporarily. All right, so let me zoom in here to the mushroom.
A quick question, Milo.
Yes.
Can we play with the layers individually once we have merged them?
No. Once they're merged, they're merged.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So, but that's a good question. This is why one might ask themselves, say, do I want to merge the layers? So maybe the linking layers was a better option. Remember how we linked them first and we merged them second? So going forward, if you don't want them, if you want to edit the layers afterwards, next time just consider that and link them instead of merging them. Okay.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Very good. All right. So now moving on to the background layer, what I'm going to do here with the hats here, instead of the quick mask tool, we're going to use the quick selection tool. I'm just going to replace this with that one. This way, I want you to focus on the quick masking. Next week, we'll do quick masking. That's a whole new exercise. So now I'm going to use, because it's not demonstrated here. Remember, I told you this exercise was a little older. So we're going to use the quick selection tool for this one. So everybody click on where the magic wand was, or just press W and select the quick selection tool. All right, because we covered all the other tools except this one and that one. We haven't covered these two yet. And like I said, we're going to try to cover most of these important tools in the program. So the ones that we're doing now are selections, because that's the basis of the program. Okay, so quick selection tool, background layer selected. Now watch this. This is my brush size. How big is your brush size? Can you see your brush size? If you can't see your brush size, that's because you have caps lock on and off. So make sure caps lock is disabled for you to see your brush size. All right. Another way is if you go over here and if you increase the size this way, you'll notice a bigger brush size on your screen. I like to use my shortcuts. So I like to use the square brackets beside the letter P. So my favorite method is this one. Look at your keyboard. Look at your O, P, the letters O and P. On the right side of the letter P, there's two curly brace brackets or square brackets. If you press either one, you can go notice the brush gets smaller or the brush get bigger. So this is why I like using this method here. I'll keep it like mid-size, maybe the size of the Q, okay? And I'm going to simply go ahead and click once on the mushroom. And if I click and drag the mouse, notice how it grows the selection, and like magic, it selected the whole thing. I didn't expect it to be that good, actually. I thought I had to go a little more. Click, click, click. But that's how this works. Let me go and deselect it to show you again. If you start at the darker section, you might have to go click and click. It's just a matter of clicking, or you can click and drag at the same time, whatever works. That works too. I'm going to press Command D or deselect. All right, so again, you can start anywhere, at the lighter area, the darker area. Once you click more than once, Photoshop's AI capabilities are able to determine those are the colors you're targeting, and it's going to eventually select the whole mushroom. This is as easy as it gets, okay, to select something.
Mine's not doing that for some reason.
Are you in the right tool? Are you using the quick selection tool?
Yeah, it says quick selection tool. So I've got that. I've got the circle. I click on the mushroom.
What layer are you in? Background layer?
Oh, maybe.
So you have
no. Okay.
So
no, I'm in background layer, but it's going around. It's sort of going like much wider than the mushroom.
So here's what I suggest you do then, and let me just get a name to the question there. This is
Christine.
Hi, Christy. Okay, so Christy, what you want to do is this. Do me a favor. Deselect. So deselect the selection. Go on top of the mark, like zoom in. Christy, reduce your brush size. If your brush size is this big, and if I was to click here, that's what's going to happen, right? But if you
it's not that big.
So make it like maybe the size of the letter Q in this case. Go to select, deselect your selection. And like I said, just try in the middle this time. Maybe click in the middle and then click here, click over here, click over here, click left
Okay,
and
got
right.
it. Got it.
Eventually it'll get
Worked.
the thing. It'll work now? Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So just like Christy said, I mean, sometimes you have to maybe do it 2 or 3 times to get it right. And with experience, you'll know kind of where to click, because you might have clicked on the edge here. You could have clicked on the dark part. You could have covered the yellow. I don't know. I don't know what Christy did, but either way, it happens to everyone, right? Wherever you click, try different target zones of the pixels, and eventually you'll get this selection, right? All right. Once we acquire the selection and we're in the background layer, of course, we're ready now to copy and paste this to turn it into a hat for a character. So we're going to press Command J. We're going to name it hat. We're going to use the move tool and move the hat right on top of our character. I like to give it more like a nice overlap. So I'm going to move it on top of the melon head. So it's like stemming out from the melon head itself. And maybe perhaps do a free transform. I like to maybe rotate it a bit to give it a little more style, and perhaps shrink it, like squish it a bit too. Okay, like that. Make it a little bigger and press enter. So do your own little style if you like to get the mushroom to work like that. All right. Look how many layers we ended up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 layers, and everything is extracted. We've covered all the main selection methods. I would call them like basic to intermediate selection tools. These are very practical. As you can see, they can do pretty much anything you want in the program, especially if you have to do an assembly of any kind with images and pixels and extract stuff. Next week, we'll use like multiple documents, and you can see how you can merge things together in a different way. We're going to do more intermediate advanced selections using quick masking. So we're going to, obviously, every lesson, we're going to increase the knowledge base and learn more stuff. So for now, we're covering selections with this one, and I hope you found it very useful and you learn a lot from this one. Even if you did use Photoshop in the past, I always get the eyes opened up from everyone saying, wow, I never knew this works this way, or this tool can do that. So let's wrap it up by using this one here. We're going to go to the background layer again. We're going to focus on the radish over here. It's a root vegetable. Or beets. Could be beets, I think. Radish or beets. Maybe that's like the same thing. All right, so go to the background layer, everybody. This last one is a little bit challenging, so I'm going to tell you why, because it's what happened to that. It's not even on the list of the handout, so it's actually it's letting me show you guys how to do this one. So this was presenting a challenge now. This is not a bullet point how to do, but you're supposed to figure this out on your own. So it's saying use the rectangular marquee in the combination with the magic wand. So how do you combine two selection tools together? So this is how you do it. And this is before I introduce to you the final object selection tool, because this is what's going to solve this problem much easier. But listen, the more you know, the better. So sometimes one method might work better than the other, right? It depends on the situation. In this case, I can do this 10 different ways if I want to, but I'm going to keep to the script here and show you what's being written on this handout. So I'm going to go use the rectangular marquee, right? Like that. I have the background layer selected. I think logically, if I switch to the magic wand and I have a rectangular selection, and I know the magic wand works by clicking on colors, and I also know by holding shift or option, I can subtract colors. So because I have a bounding box on this radish or beets vegetable, if I hold the Option key as a subtractive element, and if I click anywhere within the rectangle of the white space surrounding this radish, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to focus my pixels on my targets. And I love this trick because it works really well, even before these other fancy tools came out, like the object selection tool and even the quick selection tool, because I'm able to now select this. And that's great. Now let me teach you the new method. And this tool came out after this handout, supposedly. So this new method, it works like this. So you can use either or. I'll leave it up to you, okay? The object selection tool. So this one really like revolutionized, even like AI level 2 style, this one works really well. The object selection tool. So what you do with this one, you just make a selection like this, let go of the mouse, and it's going to do its calculation, and it's going to select the pixels. See, like that, just like that. And I'm just going to click, right? Or you can just like time it out. The timeout works like this. If you hover over the object and you wait like good 5 to 7 or maybe 10 seconds, Photoshop will do its own investigation. It'll target the pixels that it assumes that you want, because you're targeting this. It knows the surrounding area has white pixels. The target has greens and reds and stuff. So it's going to assume that's what you want. That's why it takes a while for it to kick in. Once it does, you click the mouse, it's going to target the selection. So I know you can say, well, all these other methods can go out the window because this one works. Well, not really, because it might not work as well as for the pepper, let's say, right? Well, look, actually, it does work for the pepper, but it won't get the stem. You see, it's not picking up the stem. So give and take, it works really well with most situations, but every method is important. So the more you know, the better it is to know the software. So that's why I like to use this. This is like more like the ultimate method here that kind of encompasses all in one, okay? So I'm going to click here. Notice how the selection's active. I'm in the background layer. I'm going to hit now Command J or copy and paste. And I'm going to call this the browse. I'm going to zoom out and move this with the move tool all the way here on top of the head. I'm going to maybe use Command T. And I'm going to squish it. Give it like eyebrows. I don't know where this is supposed to go, but I think it's fine here. All right, to duplicate it on the other side, we're going to hold Option drag. So there's a copy. We're going to go to Edit, Transform, and we're going to flip it horizontally. I'm going to put it on the other side as well. So now it gives it a little more character as well. Also. Okay. And now that covers pretty much every method available in terms of selections in Photoshop and covering the tools or the tool aspect of selections. There's other selection methods using menus and tricks and masks, but that's something to come in the other lessons. So for now, this is all accomplished using the more basic and intermediate selection tools in the program. All right, now we're ready to hit File Save. I'm going to see if anybody has any questions, especially for the last part. I don't know if you were able to figure that out. Let me know. And then we still have a few more steps left to finalize this file. So how's everyone doing?
Professor, I think that I don't have this last tool. I think my Photoshop is not it's not the latest version. I think.
Yeah, what version, Rebecca, do you have?
Let me check.
If you have like maybe CC, Creative Cloud.
CC 2019.
So this tool came out just after your version, I believe. But then again, see, it doesn't matter. This is what I tell my students. you might work for like a printer. Your first job might be at a print shop or something, maybe Staples, and they might have an old version, and you're going to be a graphic designer, or who knows, maybe another company. And some of these companies, they save money. They're not going to get a license to pay a monthly subscription for these programs. You're lucky to be at Humbert to get it for, I think, $130 for the whole thing for the whole year. It's a good deal. But some companies have CS6, that version that's 10 years old. And the reason why they don't want to change because it's cost. Why do they want to pay every month? For a company, it's $120 a month. They don't want to pay that extra cost. So you're going to use older software and you're going to look for this tool and you're not going to find it. Okay. So you're going to have to work in their premise. If you work for the government, you can't take the computer with you. It stays there. Okay. It's, a lot of security measures and stuff. So what I'm saying is this, you have to learn all the methods that work. So if this doesn't work, use the method I taught you earlier by incorporating the simple, because everyone has, no matter what Photoshop you can have a Photoshop that's 20 years old. This will still work. You make a selection with the rectangular marquee. You're in the background layer. You switch over to the magic wand. You hold Option and you click within the edge on the outside of the white between the border and the target right there. And that's how you get your selection. Okay? And you copy and paste it that way. So do that, okay?
Yeah.
So this way you're pretty much everything, you're versatile, okay? You know every method that can work in this scenario. Okay, any other questions? Aaron.
Hello. My question
Hi there.
is, hi. For whatever reason, I am on the eyebrows layer. I am controlling and I am clicking on the eyebrow and dragging, and it's not duplicating, and I don't know why.
Are you in the Move tool?
Yes.
And what layer are you on from the layers panel? Did
I
you
am
make
on the eyebrows layer.
and you're dragging and it's not moving?
Correct. Control, right?
No, just move it. No control. Just move the eyebrow.
No, it moves, but I want two of them. I want to do the duplicate.
Oh, then option drag to duplicate it.
Well, it wasn't working before. I also tried that.
Because you said it yourself, you were holding control. Control does
yeah, cool.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
control works with hold. Are you using a Mac or PC?
I'm using a PC.
So yeah, so use Alt in the PC.
Yeah.
And you want to use control. So just don't use control. Control works if you do control copy, control C, control V, control J for that. But if you're moving stuff directly on the screen, just avoid using any keys. Just kind of click and drag. You don't have to. But if you want to duplicate, you hold Alt or Option on the Mac to copy it. Control doesn't. I know. Listen, it's your first time maybe using these shortcuts, so it takes a while to memorize them. You might forget them next week again. Remember that Option is copy, control is this. So don't worry, it'll come naturally eventually.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. And that goes for all of you. I mean, listen, you're not going to remember this the first lesson, okay? This is just I make it look easy because I've been doing this for how many years now. But if you're new to this, I know this could present challenges and it takes time to get used to something different. I have a lot of students now that are a lot younger, some of them, and they haven't used a computer before. Everyone's using tablets and phones. So they don't even know keyboards and shortcuts and stuff like that. It's new. So, just take your time, be patient, learn the shortcuts. Then there's the Mac and PC differential as well. Command is control on the Mac, and these other things, variances, could play a role. So there's a lot of obstacles along the way. But the main thing is this: the program works on both platforms. It's Photoshop it's becoming easier and easier to learn now, and all these tools are, as much as they expand them, even older methods work the same way. So either way, I'll cover everything that from the root and upwards, so you can learn even older tactics that work with any type of challenges along the way. All right. Okay, so I think the last part was cropping. So we're going to crop the picture when we're done. We're going to go ahead and save this. Okay, just save it again. Cropping is when we want to finalize our design and we want to put this other stuff aside. So we're going to hit the crop tool, which is right here on the tools panel. C for crop, that's the shortcut. You're going to go over to the right or to the left and just pretty resize this bounding box, okay? If you screw up, if you do something like this by accident, you can press escape and do it again. Another way to crop is to actually go in here and just make your own selection, but you got to go a little inside. Or just play with the outside edges and move them in or out to adjust them accordingly. And when you have your designated target, like I do here, again, escape is cancel, enter is acknowledge. So if you press the enter button, we're good to go. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this background layer, just delete it, and have my own background here. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a finished version as opposed to a working file. So go ahead and do that. Save as, working, finished. So we have three files. We have a working file, we have a beginning starting file, and we have a finished version, which exemplifies on the finished result. We're going to save it as a Photoshop format. The reason is because all these layers will stay intact. So as soon as you hit the save button, it saves the actual file. Now, let's say you want to share this on social media, and I do want you to share it. I'm going to create another. I'll try to do this every lesson when we do fun things like this, to share this in a discussion group in our chats. Some of you suggested that last week by using Padlet and some other tools that do the same thing, the collaboration part. We're going to do it internally in Blackboard because it's there. So in order for me to see, because I want to see how many people did this with me today, I keep track of everyone. So do File, save a copy, and you're going to save this as, I'm going to teach you the difference between saving a transparent background image or saving this as a JPEG without the white, without the background image. There's a difference. A lot of sales professionals that I trained in the past, their end goal was to do the same thing. How do they make their PowerPoint presentations better? By using PNG files. When PNG first came out, they said it was the best thing since sliced bread because it made the website graphics that much smoother and transparent. That's why the internet looks the way it does, because of the imagery and all the nice combination with HTML and everything else. But PNG revolutionized the transparency factor. So let's really see how that works in this case. We're going to go to save a copy, everybody, because we already saved it as a finished Photoshop file. So we're going to go save a copy. From Photoshop here, we're going to save as a, there's the other formats visible here. There's PNG, there's JPEG, there's GIF. These are all the web formats. There's other combination formats that are miscellaneous, not necessary. These are for specific things if you have specific instructions. There's the good old Windows bitmap version. Okay, there's a lot of versions here. Okay, so I'm not gonna use this menu, but it's an alternative. Like there's many ways to save this file. Okay, so save a copy was how you obtain the other formats. Now I like to show you something else. I want to show you export. And I'm going to show you export as, okay? Because export as strictly targets on the web components, in addition to save for web, which I'll show you like a lot later. So we're going to go, look, quick export as PNG. This is a new one. Actually, let me see how this works. Quick export PNG. I'll save it as that one. Let me go to the exercise and see what it looks like. I think that's a new addition to the export feature, which is not bad. That's how popular PNG is. You see it has its own menu. Look at that. All right. There it is. First folder, PNG. Okay, so it's pretty good. It's transparent. It's a transparent file because you can see how it's transparent. It doesn't have the white background. That's why PNG format is very useful. Now, let me show you another way besides that. Traditionally, you want to go have more control. you do export as, sort of quick export. You can do either or, but export as gives you more settings. So do you want it transparent, or you maybe don't want it transparent? Now it has a white background. So you control transparency by simply clicking on the check mark. How big do you want it? Do you want to double the size? I'll do 2x. So it's double the size of what it is right now. But the size increases also, right? So we're going to go double the size, 2 times the size. That's the suffix. This is how you can kind of formulate your export. You can do a PNG, transparency. This is the width and the height that's going to give us. This is the canvas size, which matches the width and the height. And all this other stuff is pretty much default. You don't have to worry about it for now. The color profiles and stuff, metadata, it's all included. Just leave it all alone. The main thing is the format, because you can do JPEG or PNG. Let's do PNG first with transparency. Hit the export button. I'm going to go back to my folder here. I'm going to overwrite the existing one. I'm just going to save it on top of it. Hit save. And it's going to ask me to replace it. Yes, I do. Very good. All right. And the alternative option is to also, we're talking web, social media. These days, this is pretty much the main hype with everything that's happening. If you're going to publish something, you're going to probably put it on the internet, right? So we're going to go to export as. Again, this time I'll show you the alternative is a JPEG. GIF we'll do like later, so I'm not going to worry about this for now. It stands for graphic image format. It came out before PNG. The problem with GIF, it only gives you 256 colors, okay? It's only good for animations and stuff. I wouldn't use it for transparencies. I would definitely favor PNG over GIF. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphic Format. GIF stands for Graphic Image Format, okay? And JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Export Group, the company that invented the destructive format of JPEG. You can control the quality of a JPEG. JPEG's not a bad solution for this because it has a lot of colors. It's a photo realistic image of different fruits and vegetables, so it is definitely okay. It's an alternative. So I'll do a JPEG and a PNG. The only thing that JPEG doesn't do, it gives you the white background, whereas a PNG gives you the nice transparent background, which means if you put on a website or a PowerPoint presentation, it'll look much smoother. JPEGs are good for like just photographs or images that don't have like a white background, basically. I would definitely go with a JPEG. But because this was a transparent result that I wanted from this, I went with a PNG. And that would be the main reason why I would maybe switch over one as opposed to the other. The other reason might be colors and other things as such. All right, so let's do a JPEG comparisons. 2 times the size, hit export. I'm going to save it in the same location, hit save. And there it goes. All right, now I'm going to close this file and save it again. When it asks me to save it again, it's going to save over the Photoshop document. So sure, why not? And now we have the two as we compare. This is the original. This is the PNG, and this is the JPEG. Sorry, JPEG PNG. PNG has a transparent background. JPEG has a white background. Okay. Let's compare file size. How big is one opposed to the other? How many of you think, okay, I want you to, this is your participation now. How many of you think the PNG will be bigger or the JPEG will be bigger? Type it in the chat here. Type JPEG or PNG. Which file will be bigger in size? PNG or JPEG? Go ahead. I'll put on the chat thing here. JPEG or PNG? Which is bigger in file size? Okay. And also, while I'm waiting for you to put your answer in, okay, and don't worry, it's not a test. Just pick any one. Pick one or the other. If I go to the class module here, I want you to upload your melon creation. I want to see it. So under module 2, I'm going to create an actual discussion. I'm going to exit student view because that's why I can't do it. Under module 2, I'm going to create another discussion group.
I can't see the chat feature on this.
I'm still putting it now, right now. So we're going to call it melon exercise. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and upload mine first. So I'm going to hit the attachments button here. And I'm going to go to my, please do not upload the Photoshop file because it'll be too big and it might not preview properly. So it's much safer if you upload the web-friendly versions, which are the PNG or the JPEGs. So if I go over here, my lesson 1 folder, I'm going to go with the PNG file right here, double click or select it. And this is, and I'm going to do, view only, that's fine. And hit save. And now you can respond to this or upload your own version of the watermelon design. All right. While you do that, let me see how many of you answered my question there.
Yeah, we can't.
Can you guys, can you type in the chat? No. Are you allowed to type?
No.
Or you guys
No,
can't
we
type?
can't type. At least I can't.
Nobody else can either. No worries. That's okay.
There's no chat feature.
Really? In Teams?
There's chat bubbles turn on or off, but nothing saying chat.
Huh.
I mean, you can't there is a chat feature, but it looks like it's disabled.
Oh, I think I have to enable it, guys. My bad. Let me see if I can. Huh. Okay. Well, you know what? No worries. This is not important right now. But it is if you want to message me and ask me a question. So let me see here. Meeting info. Maybe I'll go to settings and do this. We used to do this in Blackboard more. I mean, Teams. Oh, don't show chat bubbles. Here we go. Let's see now. Show chat bubbles. Yeah, I don't know what else I can do. It says show as opposed to don't show chat bubbles. Okay, I'll look into this. It's not a big deal now. That's fine. Don't worry. Okay, so let's, instead of asking the question and prolonging this, let's see what was bigger, PNG or JPEG. Here we go. I select both files. I'm going to press Command-I on the Mac. On the PC, you can right-click, go to Properties, or just go to Get Info on the Mac. And lo and behold, here's the comparisons. The JPEG is 300 kilobytes. The PNG is 798 kilobytes, so more than double, almost triple. Why is that? Well, because of the information that the PNG gathers. It's the same pixel dimension, but the transparency maybe has a lot to do with it, as well as the crispness of the graphics and the images that are associated. Anything else I can't really presume. The size differential, but you'll notice this kind of fluctuate up and down depending on the results. So in this case, the PNG is a lot bigger. I think the JPEG will use a compression as well. That's why it's smaller. It has a medium compression, large, has high resolution compression. So I can't recall the exact one I set, but it could have been in the middle somewhere to high. Regardless, it's still smaller, okay? So it is a better output for a web, but if you want transparency, you got to sacrifice size over quality. So sometimes you got to get, even 798K is not that big of a deal, okay, to get that going. Okay, so that's how this played out. So now you know how to export web formats as well as completing this selection method exercise right from scratch. We're able to put this whole thing together. Let me just compare this to my last class here. We'll change the color. The pepper's purple, I guess. The purple pepper. There we go. That was an old pub we used to go to back in the day when I was near the Queensway. No longer there, I think. All right, so this is the file. Did you all manage to submit it? I want to see your work, please. So do make the effort to put it here in the chat. Let me see if you can see it, though. I do have to have it visible. So yes, you should have it visible now. Under Module 2, click on the melon exercise and do upload your own melon version. I would love to see what you did. I don't think mine went up. I'll try one more time. Let's do the PNG again. And we're going to go to... All right, I think it should be up there now. All right. Excellent. All right, there they go. All righty. Good job there, Ma Aziran. Rebecca did very nice. All right, I love these. We can make our own characters now. All right, and we got Omkar, very nice. Maria, nice job. I like how you did different sizing options there to make it a little more natural. And then I guess I have 2 up there, eh? And Harrison did a good job as well. It's kind of angry. So the angry melon. All right. And the rest of you did good as well. All right. Then we got Emery. Very nice. All right. With Aaron, good job. There we go. I liked how you positioned the hat there on the angle. Very nice. All right. So I can see most of you had lots of fun doing this, and I want to encourage you to, maybe do it again if you want to practice some more or do some more exercises. But this will honestly give you the good leverage of learning how the software really works with selections and images and pixels and layers all in one. It packs a nice quality type of demonstration. All right, so any questions so far? I'm going to do my roll call and then I'm going to wrap it up. And just remember there's something due today. So if you go to the calendar, the color abstract exercise from last week, I wanted to give you some extra time to practice. I know some of you already uploaded this, but this is an assignment. So I want you to treat it like that. It's only out of 3 points, but still, you uploaded, you want to make sure it's 8x8. You use as many selection methods as possible. You have the video from last week you can watch on how we did this. You got to give me a Photoshop format. So you got to make sure you follow all the criteria points to make sure you hand in the assignments adequately, okay? And another one is how do you submit it, basically? So make sure you go to I think there's like a submit button. Right now I'm looking at it from my view. I can't see it. But if you have any issues, let me know. I mean, it should be pretty straightforward. So that's due today by midnight. So please make sure you submit that. And there's no rubric on this one. So I just I'll give you probably 2, 2.5, or 3. That's usually how the points go. If you don't do anything, you get a 0. So make sure you hand this in. And every other main project or exercise has like a rubric. So we go through like, excellent, very good, adequate, and needs more work, I guess, on the last one. I'm sure you guys will do well on that. Just have to follow up with me and keep doing your work. All right, let me get back here to my roll call. Okay, is Abdul Rex, sorry, Abdul here. Abdul? You can just raise your hand if you want.
Present.
Very good. Thank you, Abdul. Very good.
Abdul? I have a question. Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question goes this way. In process of submitting the assignment, I just want you to go through the process one more time for me.
No problem, Abdul. Absolutely. So the process is this. let me go to student view. So I'm going to be a student now. All right, and let's say I have to hand in this assignment that's due today at midnight.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to my calendar to see what's due in every class, not just mine, every class, right? And you scroll down to see, I don't know why it's at the bottom, because I guess I have it, I can bump it up, but then it's going to be due earlier. So maybe you scroll to the bottom, find the exercise, click on it, okay? And then click on view submission on the bottom right corner here. Once you do that, oh, I already submitted. I think I demonstrated this already. Once you do that, you can then go ahead and click on the upload button, like an attachment button, and you upload your Photoshop file and you hit the submit button. And that's how you submit the file, okay? Another way to access this area here is through the modules. So if you go to the class exercises and assignments, I'm gonna have more stuff here eventually. So next week you'll have like another one. You can also click on it from here. If you're not sure what's class exercises, due date, September 14th, 2023, 11:59 p.m. So you click on it, same thing, view submission, right? Upload your file, hit the send button. I think this is done for every class, not just mine. Unless other teachers have a preference or not, but it should be fairly straightforward. Was that okay, Abdul? Did that answer your question?
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right. Let me now switch back to instructor view and continue here. Okay, so Abdul is here. David is here. Hi, David. And Vanessa, is Vanessa here?
Yes, I'm here.
Scan through the list here. Okay, hi, Vanessa. Thank you. And Kareem?
Present. Here.
Kareem, present. Very good. And Thales or Thales?
Here.
Very good. Arshdeep? Is Arshdeep here? Oh, okay. Rakela?
Here.
Rakela's here. Okay. I guess I should do see more because I got more lists here I can view. There we go. All right, I can see all of you now. Perfect. Okay, and is Rebecca here? I believe she is.
Yeah, here.
There's two Rebeccas?
Yeah, there are two.
Or is it one, sometimes you can log in as a tablet or whatever. Go ahead.
So both of us are here.
Both of you here. Very good. That makes it so much easier for me to remember. And I believe Harrison is here as well. Harrison?
Yeah, I'm here.
And Christine, I believe she is here also. Yeah, I remember Christine.
Yeah.
Christine. There's also two Christines.
No, I was telling you I'm using my iPad for the chat, but I also did it on mute on my computer in case I needed to share my screen.
That's very clever of you. Very smart. If you guys can all copy that or replicate that system, it works well. A second screen is always better than one screen. So if that helps, sure, you can log in as. That's why I thought even Rebecca was using the same thing, but there's two Rebeccas. So in this case, there's one Christine, but with an alias of another one. By all means, if that works, that's fine. Very good. Okay, thanks for sharing that. And it's Hakeem here. I think I see Hakeem.
Present.
Present.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. All right. And is Ma here? Ma or Azren?
Hello, it's Sierra.
Oh, Sierra. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Sierra. I'll remember that for next time. If I don't, correct me until I do.
Yeah, the third name, please.
Okay. Thanks, Sierra.
Thank you.
All right. And is Zhao here? Zhao?
Here.
Zhao, very good. Thank you, Zhao. And then we have Sherlin. Is Sherlin here?
Here.
Okay. And Paulden? Is Paulden here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And Maria?
Here.
Maria's here. And Andrea?
I'm here.
All right. Andrea's here. And Abdu?
I'm here.
Abdu's here. And Vibav? Vibav?
Here.
Ovibav is here. Okay. And Omkar
Here, sir.
is there. And Kushbu.
Present, sir.
Okay. And Sai.
Present.
All right. And Abdul. Abdul. I see his name. Abdul Malik. Is that the same person? Okay. I'll leave it for now. I think it's the same person. Abdul, are you there?
It's not the same person.
Oh, it's not the same person, eh? Okay.
Yeah. We have 3 Abdul.
Well, there's Abdul and there's Abdul and there's Abdul Malik.
Yes, I'm Abdul Malik, which is Abdul 1, the first one.
Okay. So Abdul Amir is not here then. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes,
that.
that's Abdul 3.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, Abdullah, yes, that's right. And then there's Abdul. Okay, I'm going to remember that. That's right. Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. Is Tanya here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And Rahul
Yes, Professor.
is here. Very good. And Tuhid.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Aaron. Aaron's here.
Yes.
Emery.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
And Rebecca, the other Rebecca.
Here.
Okay. And Rianne. Rianne, I see her name here as well. Sorry, maybe it's a he, I don't know. Rianne?
He raised his hand.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Ryan's here. Thank you, Ryan. And Zena.
Here.
All right, thank you. And Keika.
Here.
All right, and Vishwa.
Yeah, here.
Vishwa's here. And Naomi.
Hi, I'm here.
Naomi's here. And Vishal. Vishal. Going once, going twice. I don't think Vishal's here. All right. That's great. So very good. Good
So
attendance.
sorry, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Where do we put in our examples from today? Because I can't find it.
So if you go to class modules, and if you click on today's module number 2, so under every module, what I'm going to do is, most of the time, I'd like to have this collaborate type of discussion group thing happening. So if you click on the melon exercise, you can access that area right there.
Okay, I found it.
And you just click on the attachment area and you click on the attachments and stuff. And I can see more of you now. Very good. All right. So it'll be good collection gallery. Perfect. All right. So I want to thank you again for joining me today. I wish you a great week ahead. Maybe the weekend. It's Thursday. Do you have school tomorrow or you're off on Fridays?
We're off on Fridays till next week.
Oh, so you have you have Fridays off for the semester. That's good, David. Nice schedule.
Yeah, it's way better than the last one.
For sure. All right. Well, enjoy your weekend then. Since tomorrow's Friday, you guys have the day off, and I wish you all a great weekend. And I'll see you in the next class. And make sure you hand that assignment in by tonight. All right. So bye for now, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Middle.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.